Hello, hello, hello. Eric Graham here with you today. So let's just start off on, I first just let me get a quick correction. Last show, at one point in the show, I did state correctly that it was the Iranian embassy in Syria that had been destroyed by Israeli missile strikes, and that was correct. And then the other part of the show later, I stated that it was the Palestinian embassy. I referred to it as the Palestinian embassy, but it was the Iranian embassy in Syria that was uh, destroyed by Israel missile strikes as in violation of international law. And also at the end of my last show, at my zoom in, zoom out segment, where I try to draw some final conclusions and give solutions, I stated that citizens would need to boycott certain establishment entities, including the NBA, MLB, and NFL. I know these things are very entertaining. People use these things as a distraction. They may be struggling financially, unsatisfied with their work life situation, and so they use watching sports as a distraction. Also, you would save a lot of money, put that money towards more productive things, the money that you would save by not supporting these entities. Please watch my last show to put it in context what I'm talking about. Um, Also, as a multi-sport competitive athlete, I think it is too many people that do too much watching and not enough actual playing. That's why you have a lot of obese, fat, lazy people in the United States that just watch and they do a lot of gambling. So stop watching and get out and play more. Um, and so now I'm just going to start off on like a little bit of a lighter note for some comedy here. This is
Told that Trump is
Garland
afraid
Nixon. He
of.
does good
Right?
work.
Let's take a look at this.
Watch this.
The brilliant Kamala Harris. Explain the cloud to us.
So you're now no longer are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house. It's on your laptop, and it's then therefore up here in this cloud that exists above us, right? It's no longer in a physical place.
Okay. There's no your files are no longer in a physical place. They're in the magic cloud. Okay. Uh, I used to say that Kamala Harris uh, she explains things like she was talking to um, a class of elementary school children, uh, kindergartners, but actually now she reminds me is now it's like she is the elementary school student, or the kindergartner, like trying to explain something that she's learned today in class, trying to explain it to someone. That's the level of intellect that she demonstrates. So anyway, she's repulsive, as I've stated before, and she's obviously intellectually challenged and in way over her head. Um, and she's, there's no way in the world that, objectively speaking, anyone could look at her and decide that she is a leader, presidential, material. It's just a ridiculous farce. And so, let me just keep this going. Sorry, the internet's a little slow. On this note
Now, when
here
you think about
on the comedy note here with Kamala Harris, let's
the
listen
former
to this.
Soviet Union, well, after all, it's unparalleled.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
There you go.
A country in
There's your next president. I mean, or elementary school student. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So she's just very unimpressive. Let's listen to that one more time.
in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
Oh, okay. What a brilliant orator. What a brilliant explanation that is. What a marvelous command of geopolitics and anyway, so anyway, this is just it's a psyop. It's being done. Kamala Harris is being pushed on people. And in my other piece about Kamala Harris and the fake Democrats.
Well, the Democratic Party for a very long time, not just this election cycle, has been doing a lot of active outreach around.
I did point out the way that race it shouldn't matter, but everything is DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. This woke fraud that the Democrats do. Everything is about gender, race, sexual identity, and anyway, with the Democrats, gender, race, ethnicity. So I did point that out, and please watch my last video. And so it's just a fact here. This is just another piece of evidence here that I overlooked. She was definitely an Indian before. She did not identify as black, and now she does because it became convenient for the Democrats, the fake, phony Democrats, to switch her from being an Indian to being black.
Well, the Democratic Party for a very long time, not just this election cycle, has been doing a lot of active outreach around the South Asians, around the API in general, and will continue to do it. I mean, what we know in particular when you're talking about the South Asian community, we're talking about the Indian community more specifically, it is a growing community in the United States in terms of its voting bloc, in terms of its participation, and I think the party knows that and knows that this is part of our collective community, and there needs to be outreach and inclusion.
And certainly you could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Knock wood.
You could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Knock wood.
Knock wood, knock on wood, that she will be the first Indian senator in U.S. history. And she did achieve that. And she became the first Indian senator. So she was Indian at that time. And this would be hilarious if it wasn't so sickening and insulting to your intelligence. So pathetic, actually juvenile, this attempt and the way that they present this. And they do and they say whatever suits them best at that moment. So when it became, more beneficial to them, to present her as black, then that's what they did. Yeah, give me 1 second. Yeah, so the Democrats are so phony, so disingenuous. And if when it served them better for her to become black, then they made her an African American. Please watch my last. Yeah, please take a look at my last video where I cover and there's one other one, but I cover the fake phoniness of the Democrats and Kamala Harris.
Joining us now, Tulsi Gabbard, former Congresswoman, former 2020 presidential candidate, Fox News contributor.
Okay, now, yeah. Now this is where things get serious, though. You see here, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard, she is a current serving. She's an active duty. I believe she's a major or lieutenant. No, major. I think she's a major in the United States Army Reserves. She served in, Iraq. So she's a veteran, a war veteran. I'm against the United States military-industrial complex and their invasions based on lies around the world. But anyway, the point is that Tulsi Gabbard. Let's take a look at this, and I'm going to show you how horrifying this whole picture is with Kamala Harris.
Now, Tulsi, you debated Kamala. Do you think she actually thinks she's smart and effective, and if so, why?
Without a doubt, she believes this. I can't even begin to analyze why that is the case. But look, she has been unqualified to serve as vice president and is not qualified or capable at all for the very real prospect that if Biden wins, she will be president of the United States. That's a fact. Regardless of who's on the top of the ticket as the Democrats figure this thing out, whether it's Biden, Harris, or Harris, whoever, a President Kamala Harris will be our commander-in-chief. And I can tell you, as a soldier who's deployed to multiple war zones, and I can speak for a lot of my brothers and sisters in uniform, that prospect should be terrifying for all Americans. She is incapable and unqualified to be.
She's incapable and unqualified, and that's a fact. Yeah, it's but she is. She's gonna serve the same purpose that Biden is serving now, just to be a front man, a puppet, the face. But she's doing the bidding of the military-industrial complex, the Wall Street banks, big pharma. She's not going to put up any resistance to any proposals, any schemes, any plans.
This is becoming the Democrats' Watergate.
Going to
Who knew it?
Take advantage of the American people. So that's why she's been selected, because she's not going to put up any resistance to what the military-industrial complex or corrupt, the Pentagon or the corporations want her to do. She's going to go along with it. So that's why she's been selected. That's why she's been chosen by the donors. The donor class. That's who controls, the Democrats. That's who controls the Republicans and the Democrats. But she's going to be like I said, she's just going to go along with whatever they want.
Be 46-47, Trump up just a point. Harris over Trump by 3.
Just one more thing I wanted to.
Again, that's just adults, not registered or likely voters. So you've been on stage with Kamala Harris. You saw that tension between her and, at the time, former Vice President Biden. Do you think she is getting prepared for this?
First of all, if you are the vice president, your job description is to be prepared to be president on a moment's notice. So the fact that even the New York Times is even raising this question, is she getting prepared or can she get prepared, is very revealing, and again shows the truth, something that I have said since 2020 when we were both running for president in that Democratic primary. She is not prepared and is not capable of serving our country as president and commander-in-chief. She wasn't then, and she's not now. That's very, very clear. but also whether it's Biden at the top of the ticket or if they elevate Kamala Harris to be at the top of the ticket. Either way, if the Democrats win, we will see a President Kamala Harris. That is certain. What is also true is, just as we've seen with Joe Biden, who is incapable of serving as our commander-in-chief today, that will continue with Kamala Harris. We'll see those unelected people who are behind the curtains.
Yeah, that will continue with Kamala Harris, that's for sure. And so, like, this is where things get really serious, so, it's funny, laughing at her, and, I mean, it's good to have a little bit of humor, but it is pathetic. Yeah, if it wasn't so pathetic, it would be hilarious, but it's so serious because of the implications and the consequences. Now, I've spoken before about the deep state, and let me just clarify, the deep state, the permanent state, these people, the officials in the Pentagon and the CIA and other government officials that have never been elected, right? So they're the ones who control things. They're the ones who stay in control. Even when the president changes, they stay in power. So, the intelligence agencies, the deep state refers to the unelected officials, the permanent state, the people who control things in America. So it's a lack of democracy. But these people are very dangerous people. These are the people that assassinated, John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Fred Hampton, and they've done, all of these military invasions based on lies, coups around the world to, change the president of a foreign country. Let's just take a look at this. Some of you,
George Orwell's
some of you may be familiar, have read the book 1984, or seen a black and white movie, an old movie. But let's just take a look at this real quick, and I'll
84.
Show you how it connects to the current events that are happening now.
Main character Winston Smith is part of the ruling party in the city of London in the fictional nation Oceania. Winston, like all in Oceania, is subjected to being watched by Big Brother. Big Brother is the term used to describe the ruling party's surveillance, in which they watch everything Winston does through television screens. The ruling party has also implemented a new language they created, Newspeak, which has removed all words that describe political rebellion. In Oceania, simply having rebellious thoughts is illegal, and this thought crime is considered the worst of all crimes. Winston is frustrated by the oppression and restriction his party places on him, prohibiting things such as free thought, sex, and expression of individuality. Winston has begun eyeing one of the leaders in the party, O'Brien, who he believes is a secret member of the Brotherhood who are working to overthrow the party. Winston's job in the party is in the Ministry of Truth, in which they edit the historical records to the needs of the party. At work, he notices an attractive dark-haired girl who is always looking at him. He believes she may be an informant who will turn him in for his thought crime.
Okay, so the point there is that, Big Brother always watching. So people have to live in this suppressed, repressive lifestyle because they're fearful of retaliation by their Big Brother, by the overbearing, authoritarian, controlling government, which is, pretty much what we have right now. So I bring that up because this dystopian future described in 1984 is here now. We're living in it right now. And so, retaliation from Big Brother, retaliation from the government,
has about violations of the Foreign Agent Registration Act.
For people speaking out in opposition to policies that their government is doing, which is exercising your First Amendment rights. But, you know, pardon my expression, the Democrats, they wipe their ass with the Constitution every day. I think the Democrats have rolls of toilet paper at home, but their toilet paper is the Constitution, you know. But anyway, you know, all of the censorship that they do, but you know, the Democrats are an authoritarian fascist regime, like a cult. So what's happened is that two things related to Tulsi Gabbard, and this is Scott Ritter. Now, let me just give an introduction. I've covered Smedley Butler. Please watch, you know, my previous shows. I've covered Smedley Butler, General Wesley Clark, and now I've got to cover another American hero, whistleblower, brave truth teller, Scott Ritter. I have so much respect for Scott Ritter because he's been standing up for the truth and facts, facing the most fierce enemies, the UN, which is the U.S. government. Scott Ritter is a former United States Marine Corps and former United Nations weapons inspector. The authoritarian fascist Biden administration, Department of Justice, has been harassing Scott Ritter in retaliation for him telling the truth as he broadcasts his analysis concerning the U.S. proxy war against Russia using Ukraine, and about the Israeli and U.S. genocide against the Palestinians. So yeah, Scott Ritter, he also, you know, he was as a UN weapons inspector, he had a clash in front of Congress with Joe Biden over the lies that the U.S. was telling about Saddam Hussein and weapons of mass destruction. Now, let me let him listen to this statement, what happened to him, and then I will continue. Because here, listen to this.
Tell you right now, I am not in violation of the Foreign Agent Registration Act. I have not done anything that would do it, and hopefully by executing the search warrant and taking the materials that they did, they will rapidly reach that conclusion. I will say that things like this have a chilling effect on free speech. There's no doubt that I'm being targeted because of statements I've made about U.S. policy in Ukraine. I'm being targeted because I have made an effort to try and improve relations between the United States and Russia, to try to bring about arms control, to bring about peace. Apparently somebody in the U.S. government takes umbrage at this, so they executed a search warrant. The FBI was extraordinarily professional. I have no complaints against the personnel that did this. I do have complaints against the personnel that caused this to happen. This has a chill.
Okay. So yeah, his home was raided by the FBI, and he hasn't done anything wrong, as I stated, except for telling the truth and promoting good relations with Russia. Now, the Democrats are the party of the authoritarian fascists using the state government agencies, the bureaucracy, as a form of censorship, the lawfare, harassment, and intimidation and control. The Democrats have done a 180-degree reversal as a party. Democrats are, you know, since Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Biden, the Democrats are now the party of the deep state, military-industrial complex, Wall Street, banks, big pharma, and have totally abandoned the workers. Now here you have Scott Ritter, a man of character and bravery, using his time and energy to work towards diplomacy instead of military escalation that the U.S., the Pentagon, and the CIA are constantly doing. Just like with former President Trump, they used lawfare against him, and yet his popularity only increased. So the desperate Democrats and deep state tried to assassinate him. They tried to assassinate Trump. And in my opinion, I believe that Hillary Clinton was in on that conversation. There was a conversation, obviously, that took place between Hillary Clinton, maybe another wealthy oligarch, and then someone in military and someone in the Secret Service. There was obviously a conversation that took place and the planning that went into the assassination attempt on Trump. But anyway, the significant thing that Scott Ritter and Donald Trump have in common is that they both stated that the United States needs to practice diplomacy and have better relations with Russia. Let me let this continue.
Impact on free speech. The idea that you have a free speech right in America when you execute it in a manner that the U.S. government takes exception to, and they launch a search warrant, that is an intimidation factor. I can say that I am not intimidated, and I will continue to speak out, and I will continue to do what I do, because that's my responsibility as an American citizen, and I will continue to operate in that manner. So I think I gave you all the answers you need at this point in time. I would request that you respect that and let me and my wife get on with our business.
What time did they show up today?
I don't know. They were here a long time. So, you know.
Can you say generally what type of stuff was in the boxes they took?
The search warrant allowed them to look for electronic equipment. They were clearly interested in communications that I've had with people related to the work I do. That's all I can say about it. It's up to them to review it. I have nothing to hide. I was cooperative with them, and you know, it is what it is, and we'll get on with it. But as I said, I respect their right to do what they did. I'm not in violation of the law, and I will not be intimidated. So anybody upstairs who thought that this will intimidate me and cause me to stop speaking out, they guessed wrong. Have a great day.
Passport from you?
And so, also, you know, before they did this FBI raid on his home, he was attempting to travel to Russia. He was invited to speak at a conference in Russia, and he had, you know, made these plans and had been invited as a guest speaker, as a former United Nations weapons inspector. And when he went to the airport, he was just about to get on the plane to head to Russia, and the TSA, I believe it was the TSA or the DOJ, they showed up, took his passport, violating his constitutional rights. They just showed up, took his passport, would not let him travel. And so that happened. That was about, I think, like about just a few weeks ago. And so,
but he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So
here you have, like I've stated previously, the U.S. is not a democracy, only the illusion of democracy. Chuck Schumer is a corrupt, greedy, neoliberal corporate Democrat, but because Chuck Schumer and the corrupt propagandists here, Rachel Maddow, are so enthusiastic about doing, and they're so enthusiastic and giddy about doing their Russiagate propaganda, false allegations against former President Donald Trump about being a puppet of Putin. Please watch my previous videos. We are fortunate that Chuck Schumer was running off at the mouth and said the quiet part out loud. There is no democracy, and the unelected deep state is who controls things and who you should be scared of. Even the President of the United States should be scared of them. And that's not democracy. And now, and you know, as far as, you know, the deep state, you know, as I showed you in the book 1984, you know, about Big Brother, the United States is not a democracy, and it's controlled by, you know, these unelected officials and intelligence agents. And now, you know, for Tulsi Gabbard, you know, for criticizing Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they've retaliated against Tulsi Gabbard. So remember that Tulsi Gabbard is a current serving Army Reserve major, and she's a war veteran. And so, but you know, the United States, they have put Tulsi Gabbard on the terrorist watch list, and you're paying for it. You know, imagine the money that's paid. Listen to this. This is from the undercover DC, and the Air Marshal National Council executive revealed that Tulsi Gabbard is currently unaware that she has 3 federal air marshals, 1 TSA supervisor, 2 explosive detection canine teams, and 1 transportation security administration specialist shadowing her on every flight. Okay, so that means Tulsi Gabbard, the current, the you know, former presidential candidate, former senator, current United States Army Reserve major and Iraq war veteran, is now being treated like a terrorist. She's on the terror watch list and all that stuff that I just stated. Every time she gets on a plane, that's all that goes on with these, you know, the dogs and the armed marshals, and it's just a big production that U.S. taxpayers are paying for. And that's just harassment. That's just intimidation. That's harassment, retaliation for speaking, telling the truth about the Biden administration. And so so you see how, you know, they're treating Scott Ritter, and you see how they're treating Tulsi Gabbard, and it's simply for telling the truth. And so, you know, the United States is it's a authoritarian fascist, is what the Democrats are. Censorship and violation of your constitutional rights is their standard operating procedure. And so, you know, as far as, you know, the military industrial complex, they're now let's take a look at this. You know, even, you know, President Eisenhower, this was, you know, as he was leaving office, he felt a duty to.
A vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction. Our military organization today bears little relation to that known. Our military organization today.
Sorry about that.
Portions. Added to 1 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. We annually spend on military security alone more than the net income of all United States corporations. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists. Of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists.
So that's that's
of government. We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The undue influence.
Guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Exactly. And so his warning is like a motivational speech for them. It didn't serve as any kind of a deterrent because the military-industrial complex is in total control. It's like, the military-industrial complex in AIPAC, the Israeli lobbying group, that's who's in control of the United States. So, he gave a warning, and then it ended up happening, that the military-industrial complex is in total control. And here's Redacted, they do good work. Now, turning to the situation. So just to recap, Donald Trump, Scott Ritter, they both have in common that they state that we need good relations with Russia, and that goes against what the deep state wants, because they want to maintain Russia as the big bad boogeyman. It's just unnecessary. They intentionally, artificially created Russia as this big enemy. Russia is who was mostly responsible for defeating the Nazis in World War II. But the United States always takes the credit. And Russia has always tried to reach out and have good relations with the United States the way that they used to. They were allies during World War II. But England, also made Russia into this big bad boogeyman, and so and so now let me just take a look real quick. Now, and also so the deep state, because Scott Ritter speaking out, telling the truth about the need for good relations with Russia and the need for diplomacy with the situation in the genocide in Palestine, and NATO continuing to press on to the Russian border. So, they speak the truth, and then, they get retaliation from the deep state. Trump gets assassinated. Trump had the lawfare, those trumped up lawsuits, charges in court, lawfare. where the, harassment and intimidation via the use of the Department of Justice. Scott Ritter had his passport taken, had his home raided by the FBI. Tulsi Gabbard, now she's being treated as a terrorist. And so and as far as
Ukrainian military officials mentally unstable, mentally disabled at this point. But more importantly, we just got some stunning news over the past few days out of Ukraine. And this is really stunning. According to a new report, the Ukrainian armed forces have been drafting around 30,000 troops monthly since May. Now, on the face of it, you say, how is that possible? They have no men left, right? How is that possible? Well, this is a staggering number and a clear indication of the dire straits in which Ukraine finds itself. Well, the New York Times separately confirmed this number. Ukraine ramps up mobilization, hoping to bolster battlefield strength. So where is this? How is this happening? Well, this isn't just like some amazing mainstream narrative like, wow, these men are just lining up to volunteer. No, these men are not just deciding to enlist to fight against Russia.
So you can see here, watch this, you're just watching these, this is called forced conscription. They're just dragging citizens who don't want to go fight. They know that they're going to get killed by Russia, because Ukraine never had a chance to win. Ukraine never had a chance to win. And so Ukraine has already lost, I think it's about 600,000 young men have been killed now. And then, many more wounded. So, it's a proxy war, the United States using Ukraine to attempt to weaken Russia. But Russia's only gotten stronger. Their economy's only gotten stronger. And so this has been a total failure. And you can see, these people, they're suffering and they're getting dragged away to certain death. They don't want to go, and you see these people dragging them away. That's what you're watching here. And so you see what's happening there. These people are being forced to go to a certain death. And they don't want to. They know that they're going to go get thrown into the front lines with very little training and preparation, because as you see, as a matter of fact, they're taking old men, young men, handicapped men, and the people that they take when they get sent to the front line to go fight Russia for the United States, they're not given appropriate training. They're given very little, quick training. They're not given a proper, basic training, and then specialized training like they should be given. This is a money-making fraud, for the military-industrial complex and the corrupt politicians that receive their donations from the corporations that manufacture the weapons. The corrupt politicians receive their, political election campaign donations from, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, all these corporations that participate in the U.S. economy of death, where each state in the United States is involved, because if you're going to produce an airplane, a weapon, a bomb, you have a little part manufactured in each state. Each state will have some small part of that weapon to manufacture in their state, and then it comes together and then it's assembled. So they all have a stake in, they're all profiting. Each state is profiting from this, economy of death, the continued need for conflict and escalation in order to keep making profits by selling weapons. And so, here you see Zelensky. He's like the U.S. Frankenstein monster. He's begun to make statements to tease the U.S. as being too scared and concerned about escalating war with Russia. He wants NATO to initiate a no-fly zone over Ukraine, and he wants to see the United States shooting down Russian aircraft and missiles. This conscription that he's doing is basically, kidnapping people off the street. And that's probably going to come to the United States also, because the United States has not been able to meet its recruiting goals. And and also, Zelensky, the United States is totally anti-democracy, and Zelensky, his official term as president of Ukraine ended like a month ago. I say he's just staying there because he's now, a dictator. He's a crazy little, coke sniffing, wealthy dictator now. Because the United States has made him a wealthy man with all of the money that he's stolen. All the billions of dollars that the United States has, sent to Ukraine. Zelensky and all his buddies, his cronies, they're all wealthy. They buy villas and vineyards and villas and expensive, vehicles. The latest, I heard Zelensky bought a wine vineyard in Italy. But, let's watch this and I'll start to close.
Оборони. Ми часто чули у відповідь слово «це неможливо», але все ж ми зробили можливим те, що було нашою амбіцією, нашою оборонною потребою. А тепер це дійсно реальність у нашому небі. F-16 в Україні.
So Ukraine has already lost this, in this special military operation that Russia was forced to do because of the Nazis and the weapons that were on its border, and they were killing lots of, Russian-speaking citizens. And so, the United States forced Russia to take action to rid its borders of these Nazis that the United States has been arming and training. So Ukraine has lost. Giving them these F-16s is so insulting. Zelensky doesn't care because he's made the deal with the devil, and he's now a very wealthy man. But the fact is that they are being played with like a child playing with a toy soldier set. Ukrainian citizens should be so embarrassed, and would be if they knew the truth, but they don't. They're being ruled by the United States via a little coke-sniffing dictator whose legal official presidency has ended. And so it's time to pull the plug on this, but this war is being kept alive by artificial respiration on life support, by the life support machine, the Pentagon. So yeah, let me just let this finish.
яка кількість, поки що та кількість, яка є в Україні, поки що та кількість пілотів, які вже навчені, цього ще недостатньо. Позитив є в тому, що ми очікуємо додаткових F-16. Позитив є в тому, що наші хлопці зараз, багато хлопців зараз навчаються.
Yeah, so it's a fraud. Yeah, those F-16s, they're not going to make any difference, because Russia has already won, and there's no way that Ukraine, they never had a chance to win in the first place. And these F-16s are not the F-16s. They're insulting because they're using your money. So that's the most insulting thing, is the United States taxpayer. You're being insulted. Your intelligence is being insulted. You're being exploited and manipulated as usual. That's the most disgusting part of all this. And now I'm gonna close here. Yeah, NATO is a money-making organization. It's about intimidation. It's about controlling the resources of the world.
Goody.
And
it's a montage of a...
Now, this is Judge Napolitano. He does great work, and this is another, whistleblower here. He's interviewing. That's retired Lieutenant Colonel Karen Kwartowski. So yeah, the corrupt U.S. government, the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of State, Blinken, Lloyd Austin, Jake Sullivan, Anthony Blinken. They're all just, neocon tools, Zionists, corrupt liars. So they're the ones that through the corrupt corporate news media, they're able to keep this propaganda going, and make it seem as if Ukraine really has a chance of beating Russia, and they never did. No, let me just watch this little segment here, and then I'm going to close.
Goody. It's a montage of a Joe Biden and company saying Putin has already lost. Watch this.
When?
Yes. Putin has failed, and he continues to fail.
Putin has already lost.
Putin's already lost the war.
Putin has already lost this war. I want to say that, and I want to say it loudly.
Putin has already lost in terms of what he was trying to achieve.
In many ways, Putin has already lost.
And that is, Russia has already lost this war.
In short, Russia has lost. They've lost strategically, operationally, and tactically.
That's the nonsense that the American
government. It is a laughable joke. I'm going to play this one more time.
Yes. Putin has failed, and he continues to fail.
Putin has already lost.
Putin's already lost the war.
Putin has already lost this war. I want to say that, and I want to say it loudly.
Putin has already lost in terms of what he was trying to achieve.
In many ways, Putin has already lost.
And that is, Russia has already lost this war.
That was Jake Sullivan right there.
In short, Russia has lost.
All right. So those are just straight up lies. Not only has Russia not lost, Russia has already won. It's the total opposite of what they said. And they thought that by putting sanctions on Russia, economic sanctions on Russia, and by continuing to instigate and harass by encroaching upon the Russian border using Ukrainians, that Vladimir Putin would be forced to leave office, that they would harm Russia, destroy their economy, all these things. And they're saying Russia has already lost, when in fact Russia has already won. Russia's economy is doing great. They're growing. Their military is stronger than ever. Their military industrial complex, their weapons production capabilities, their industrial capacity, everything is going great for Russia. And the United States has forced Russia and China to come closer together. The BRICS nations are rising, and everything is backfiring. So, my zoom in, zoom out segment is, where I'm going to close. And, the point is that I bring this to the conclusion that it's, the United States citizens that are suffering and will continue to suffer with the costs rising, the poor, the working poor and the middle class will bear the brunt of the blowback that comes from this escalation of war in the Middle East. Always a constant escalation instead of diplomacy. And the U.S. citizens, when the oil prices go up and your electricity bill, your food bill, and everything is going to go up, all of your expenses are going to go up. So what is the purpose and desired outcome of the U.S. government? Ask yourself this question. Is it to serve the interests of the citizens domestically and promote democracy internationally? No, but that's what they want you to believe. That's propaganda. And the purpose of the U.S. government is to use the money of the citizens to generate profits for the oligarchy, the wealthy. Keep the citizens ignorant through the use of lies and propaganda distributed by the politicians and corrupt media, and suppress and censor information to keep the facts hidden, to promote division, to keep people from uniting across class lines, and internationally through the use of lies, threats, and bribes and deception to promote division and hostility and chaos in other countries in order to sell weapons for the military-industrial complex and control other countries' resources, all while pretending to be actually modern, all while pretending to be supporting and defending and promoting democracy. And they are actually modern-day pirates, ruthless, savage murderers in fancy, expensive suits. And it's really quite simple. If the purpose, if the intention of the if the purpose and the intention of the U.S. government was to serve its citizens, then you would not see high levels of inflation, economic inequality, and homelessness. You would not have this saturation of billionaires existing, the situation of billionaires existing while extreme poverty and a high number of working poor exist. You wouldn't have a two-tiered system of justice where average people get convicted of criminal acts and get punished, go to prison, while crimes committed by the wealthy and corrupt corporate executives and government officials go unpunished. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to do a longer show on Sunday. Please like and share, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you back again on Sunday with a longer show. Thank you so much. Peace out.